Perfect. Let me share again the presentation. Do you see it? Can you just give me a sign if it's the case? Okay, perfect. I'm just going to the... Perfect, okay. Okay, first of all, what I wanted to highlight is that we have another webinar tomorrow. I saw that some of you have registered for both dates. It's not necessary for you to come tomorrow because the content will be the same, and every extra question that will be asked, we will take notes and put it in the FAQ. So if you're here, it's enough. So to give you an overview of the call. So the focus of this call is to provide support to organizations who are working to make online spaces safer, more trustworthy, and inclusive. And with this, we mean that they are contributing to the efficient enforcement of EU tech regulation at national level. So here to unpack it a little bit, when we talk about EU tech regulation, we are talking about the Digital Services Act, the Digital Markets Act, the AI Act, and so on. So we don't limit the type of regulation that are included as long as they have a focus on online spaces and as long as they are relevant for the objectives that we mentioned. The focus is, as we said, at national level. And when we talk about enforcement, we try to give an extensive meaning to the word. So not only what is legally defined as enforcement, but to interpret it is everything that can make this regulation work at national level. So in the guidelines, which I recommend you, I ask you to read fully before applying, you will see that there is a list of types of approaches and activities that we include. Please consider this just as examples because we are open to have other types of approaches and activities, but it is in a way to guide you and to make you understand what we feel is important to be included when we talk about enforcement of tech regulation at national level. The call is focused on 7 EU countries, which are Hungary, Italy, Poland, Slovakia, Spain, Romania, and the Netherlands. As you will see in the call, the organizations that are working at EU level or international are eligible. They can apply as long as they have a strong track record of working in those countries. So we do not fund organizations that are thinking of expanding their work in those countries, but organizations that are already working there, are connected with the field, with different stakeholders, and are present in those countries. In terms of eligibility criteria, there are 3 main eligibility criteria. You need to be a registered nonprofit, or you need to, if you are a for-profit, your work needs to be non-profit in nature, and any profit from your activity needs to be reinvested in the organization. So there needs to be no dividend inside the company. You need to have, as I said, a track record of working at national level in at least one of the candidate priority countries. So you can apply also for more countries if your work covers more countries. And your work needs, of course, to be focused and bring expertise, either specifically on tech regulation, platform governance, and so on, or on topics that are relevant for online public discourse. And here, just to give you an example, we are talking about questions around election integrity, about transparency, about mental health, about gender discrimination, hate speech, and so on. The only clear-cut exclusion criteria is that we cannot support organizations that are affiliated to specific political party. To give you an overview of the open call in terms of finances, the total budget for this call is 1,600,000. We are giving grants up to 160,000 for 2 years, which means for the whole period, the maximum amount we give is 160,000. And we expect to fund up to 10 grantees between 3-4 of those 7 countries. One thing, in fact, that I wanted to clarify, as you will see also in the guidelines, is that we expect not to fund in every single country, but to focus on groups of organizations in countries where there are either specific challenges or specific opportunities. This is because, as you've seen maybe on what we funded in the last call, in Ireland and France, the idea is also that we want to support a field at national level. And so we think there's a need of supporting a few organizations working together at national level. In terms of types of cost, this is what we call its core and flexible funding. So these funding can cover core operational costs, so staff costs. It can cover the activities you do. If you're part of a coalition, you can also fund other organizations, re-grant to other organizations. You will see that there is an annex in the guidelines that specify what happens if you are applying as a coalition and how does re-granting work. And yes, the last point, as I said, is the re-granting. In terms of required documentation, so the call is structured this time as a two-steps approach, with a two-steps approach. Last year was just one step where we asked for full proposal, due diligence documents. This time we try to simplify it. So for this first round, what we ask is to fill in a concept note and a simplified budget proposal. So you will find both of them on the website downloadable and also on the NEF platforms. Those are the two main documents you need to fill in, but then we also ask for some background documentation for organization, which are the registration documentation as a nonprofit or as a company. Sorry, there's a break in this point, but it's like, or a company reinvesting their surplus into the company itself. We ask for the CVs of the leadership and for 2 financial documents. So the financial report of 2023, if possible, audited, and what is the budget of the 2024, of course, with all the possible incomes, all the expected incomes. Where to apply? To submit the application, you have to do it on the NEF platforms. If you don't know, Civitatis is hosted by NEF, which is the Network of European Foundation. What you will have to do is basically there is going to be, again, the same questions at the beginning where we'll ask you to give a little bit of data of name of the organization, who is the contact person, email, and so on. There's also a few extra questions. I would suggest you to have a look at them before. Give me just a second because I see that there are some people in the waiting room. So I'm just gonna let them in. I'm just gonna say hi to the people who just joined. I'm sorry, I'm on my own today, so I need also to admit people. We've just started the presentation, but we're gonna have time for Q&A soon. So then if you have questions, we can also go back to some parts. So as I was saying, you have to apply on the platform. We don't accept application via email. Please submit the application a little bit before or way before. I would suggest at least 1 hour before the deadline, because you will need time to fill in the grid, to upload the document. Sometimes people had problems in connecting, so we want to make sure that your application can get through and is eligible. Just a second. Okay. Okay, just to look together at how the concept note, so the narrative part of the proposal is structured. There are 3 main sections which correspond to sets of questions, very short. The first part is the context. So we ask you to give a little bit of your assessment of what are the potential challenges and opportunities at national level on the issues that are, of course, related to this open call. The second one is to tell us a little bit about your organization. And so what are your goals? What are your successes? Anything you feel it's relevant to highlight. And then the third part is your solution, which is a summary of what is your approach. You don't need to get into the details of specific activities. This can be saved for the full application if you get to that stage, but it's to give us a sense of what you want to achieve. Finally, the timeline. So as I said, it is structured in 2 phases. The first phase is the concept note stage. So we expect, so the deadline is the 14th of March at 11 p.m. to submit the application. We expect to invite organization to give to get to the second stage by mid-April. And then we will have the second phase. So we will ask you to submit the full application. Before that, we will have another meeting with the shortlisted candidates where we can get through the full application together, the due diligence questionnaire. So there's going to be, that can be like a space for questions about that. At beginning of June, so we work also, part of the rules of NEF are to check also the health of the organization. Because we give core support to the organization, we want to check what is the financial management, what is the governance of the organization. So people that are going, the organization that are going to the second stage will have to fill in this due diligence questionnaire, but also we will ask them to join a call where we'll ask questions and we will ask clarification, both about the organization and the final proposal. At the beginning of July, the selection committee will make a final decision. The selection committee is made by representatives from the foundations that are part of Civitatis. I skipped a description about what is Civitatis, but if any of you wants to have it, we can do it in the Q&A. Between July